Hello, Alec, with another video, because I haven't done one in a while. This is what I'm working with. I decided to upgrade the processor on my PC that I've had for 6 years now, probably almost 7. The old one was an AMD, it's in here, Athlon X2 5600 Plus that I think I immediately overclocked to 6,000 plus, as they said, back in the day, which was like a 3 gigahertz to 3.2 gigahertz jump. It's kind of the standard thing to do back then with that processor. It was like, why buy the 6,000 when you can get the 5600 and then just overclock it immediately and everything's fine. Anyway, I've been running it like that for years and years. And I decided the other day that I wanted to upgrade the processor, and well, I decided months ago that I wanted to upgrade the processor after finding a forum post that some people rewrote the BIOS for this board, as well as its brother or sister board made by EVGA. I think it was the 560i. This is a Foxconn board. And they were the reference boards for the Enforce 590 SLI. And they were absolutely identical, except this one was Foxconn, the other one was EVGA. So, and this one, as you might remember from one of my old videos, is a Foxconn C51XEM2AA-8EKRS2H, because Foxconn's cool like that, and they want you to have a really hard time Googling the board that you have, I guess, or something like that. Anyway, old processor, 5600 plus, Athlon, new processor, Phenom 2 940 Black Edition. And now the BIOS that these people created, I think it was actually based on EVGA's last BIOS for their version of this board, which, like I said, is identical. They finally added support for AM2 Plus processors, I believe, the early Phenoms. So, even though this is an AM2 board, you could throw in an AM2 Plus processor in it and it would kind of work. But these Phenom 2 processors would not be recognized. They would work, but they wouldn't be recognized correctly. You'd get an unknown processor on your BIOS screen when it first pops up, and I think the multiplier wouldn't work correctly, and it would just be like, I think it would work at the speed that it should if you got the right one, but it wouldn't show up correctly. And anyway, these guys, brilliant people, rewrote the BIOS and added the codes and all that stuff to allow these processors to be recognized correctly, etc. So, I believe the fastest processor that I could put in here is a Phenom 2 945. I don't remember what the clock speed difference is, if there even is one. Once you go to the 955, that one, I don't remember if that one worked or not, but you wanted to stick to the 95 watt processors and not the 125 watt processors, except I think this one's 125 watt, but I know it should work. But once you got to the 965, that one would show up, at least with the last version of the BIOS that these guys created. It would show up unknown again, and you would have multiplier problems, and I just decided not to try at all. So I got the 940 because I knew it worked. Someone said it worked. Hopefully it works on my board too. I updated the BIOS a few hours ago, and that went just fine. That was the scary part, I would say, is updating the BIOS, because it's some BIOS that some guy that I don't know messed with, and I'm going to put it on my board and just hope it works. So, anyway, all went fine. Booted up. Everything's cool. Got this processor in the mail today. and decided to install it, but unfortunately I do not have thermal paste here at the moment. So I'm going to have to wait until tomorrow, because now it's like 9:30 or 10 o'clock and no one's open. And I could probably go drive to my parents' house and dig it out of some box somewhere in storage, but I don't want to do that, so I'll just pick some up tomorrow at Radio Shack. I think they have Arctic Silver. Yeah, they should have Arctic Silver. It's probably not cheap, considering how cheap things are not there. And also, I need to replace this capacitor now, and this one, and this one. So I figured I'd just do it all in one go. Go get thermal paste, go get some capacitors, call it good. So that's where I'm at. There's my case. This is the case that Rich of Review Tech USA also has. I think it's the Cooler Master CM Stacker. I've got a hard drive just flopping around in there, by the way, if you didn't notice that. Yeah, that's how you do it right there. CM Stacker 690 or 680 or something like that. I always really like the case. It's not lightweight, so it was a pain to take to LAN parties and stuff like that. But it has pretty good retention for the cards. The 5 1/4 bay retention kind of sucks. And the hard drive retention is pretty cool. It's just, these just slide in and out, and they just kind of pop into the drives. So I'm going to clean all of the dust out of this thing because it is filthy, and put it back together tomorrow. Another fun thing while I'm here, and you're watching, if you're still watching, is my heatsink. This is a Cooler Master Gemini with 2 eyes, because it was the Gemini 2 or something like that. I think that's right. And it is absolutely giant. I got a good deal on this back in the day, and I fell in love with it. You can actually, as you see with the brackets, you can fit 2 120mm fans on it, and you can loosen these screws and actually slide the brackets and the fans wherever you need to, which is great because no case is actually made to take that many fans, so you kind of need to slide it back and forth. And that heatsink, when you put it in here with the board, it clears this by like that much, and it makes it a horrible pain in the ass to plug in the motherboard power, which is right here, and gets covered up by that. You also have to keep put these 2 first sticks in of RAM before that heatsink goes in, because you pretty much can't get them out once the heatsink's in. At least these first 2 bays. I had some old Mushkin 1GB sticks that had heat spreaders that were a little taller, and they literally were kind of bending just a little bit. They were touching the heatsink, which was not pleasing to know about. But anyway, that's enough for me right now. So, yep. Maybe I'll make another video tomorrow. I will try and post a link to the thread on, what is it, biosmods.net or .com, I don't remember, where they went through this whole process. I used a BIOS on page 5 or 6. I can't remember who made it. It was a BIOS that a guy made, and then one guy said, I installed it and my CPU didn't show up correctly, and then the guy replied, this is the only way I remember it, the guy replied, oh, did you use the one that said SLIC or something at the end? And he said, oh no, I'll try that one, and then he tried it and then it worked. So that's the one I used. if you ever go through that process again and go through that forum looking for the right BIOS, that's the one I used. I can probably post that in the description, the actual one that I used. So anyway, that's where I'm at. Now I'm going to go to sleep in a bit and dream about putting this together, I guess. So, yep. Upgrades.